welcome back. I'm Tedward, and today, thanks to Bond Group in Waltham, Massachusetts, we're driving a classic. This is a 1955 Austin-Healey 100, or a Healey 100, as they say, named after its top speed, or the fact that it could go 100 miles an hour, unlike its successor, the 3000, which was named after its displacement. This does not have the iconic 3-liter straight six that we know and love in Austin-Healey 3000s. In fact, this has a 2660cc inline 4-cylinder with a couple of carburetors, and it is one of the most charming roadsters I have ever had the pleasure of operating. This being a very small little car, oddly enough, is considered a big Healey. The 100 is considered the first of the big Healeys, and it seems very bizarre to look at this and think, well, that's the big one. But one of the strangest things about this car is its gearbox, and as we approach the car, you'll notice another strange thing. This windscreen actually folds down. Kind of cool to drive, but definitely want some goggles and sunglasses or something, because the air comes straight into your face. We may try to do some of the drive with that down. I may put it up just for the sake of wind noise so we can actually have a conversation. You can hear the thing, but here's the deal. This is a BN1, the first generation of the 100, and if you look at this gear lever, you will see a very interesting shift pattern. This is a 3-speed with an overdrive, but this manual transmission is basically a reverse dogleg. First gear is down, then second over and forward, third down. That is very bizarre. I've never seen a gearbox like that in my life, and I have really enjoyed rowing through these gears today. First, let's take a look around. It is simple, it is beautiful. This is one of my favorite eras of roadsters because they're just elegant, classy, light, and fun. You don't need this to have a V8 or something crazy, but of course, later on, the culture of amping up cars like this bred things like the AC Cobra, where you put a big old V8 in a little British roadster. This would be a perfect car for that. However, I wouldn't recommend it just because this 4-cylinder, is so choice. Okay, iconic things. You see the Austin-Healey wings, you see the 100 badge across this gorgeous grille, the vertical slats, loving that. We protect our glass headlights with these grills as well. And then knock-off wheels with drum brakes all around. You can see the exhaust is probably the lowest part of the car, so we're going to be especially careful over some speed bumps because we do not want to hit that. But gluing us to the road on these gorgeous 15-inch wire wheels is a 165 section tire. Not very big, but lovely that Vredestein makes these because it can be difficult to find tires for your classic car. Not an advertisement, just knowledge. Anyway, take a quick peek in the trunk. You've got loads of space back here. This is where you would fuel up. So if you're at the gas station, you see Healey with the trunk up, just doing their thing, getting fuel in there, hopefully not spilling it all over the compartment. Big old spare tire taking up a good amount of space. However, it's elevated and out of the way, so you still have all this room for your luggage. Battery over here, there's a little cutoff switch. Don't know if that's stock or if that was something added later on. And then you can't enter these doors from the outside. You've got to reach in. And there we go. So to open the bonnet, we're going to pull this lever down here with a little bit of gusto. There we go. And this reveals our gorgeous 4-cylinder. And I think this is the coolest. It's little, it's lightweight, it does the job, probably fairly robust. Not a whole lot of electronics going on in these cars, despite the fact that British cars are often known for electrical gremlins. But that's the thing. I think this is one of those cool little cars you could have and use and do some DIY projects on just to keep it original and running and enjoy having a proper cool classic. Because I'm telling you, driving something like this is what brings joy. This era of car, this type, this style of car, I just cannot fathom this ever really going out of style because this is motoring. So let's close it up, jump in. I might put this windscreen up to see if we can avoid some of the wind noise. I'll take you around the block with it down, and then we'll go out for a proper little drive. To start the Healey, we've got our Healey key over here. We'll pop that in. There's no great way to get to that ignition. It feels like the steering wheel is just in the way. I like to reach through. In old Ferraris, typically the steering wheel's so big or that the alignment of that ignition is so far over that you can really reach through comfortably. This one, not quite, but got a good neutral. That, I believe, is actually a starter button, but this one I've been starting on the key. Over here is our oil pressure, our water temp, our speedo, our tack, fuel. We've got everything we need. A pretty standard emergency brake, nothing wild there. And our directional, no stock, just on the steering wheel like you'd find in an old Jag. It's already probably blowing out the mics with the wind noise. It's kind of fun because it is like driving with no windscreen. It reminds me of driving like an old Porsche 550. And that's period correct. Oh, it's self-canceling. I didn't know that. It's gonna blow my hat off my head, which is where the camera is mounted, because it doesn't take much air to move that up. But it's funny because even, you know, maybe on camera you're thinking, well, I can't hear much, I'm just hearing wind. That's true in the car. That's correct. That is exactly what is going on. Now this is likely going to be a bit of a project. Essentially, we want to loosen these. We want to get this down here, and we'll attach there. Try not to scratch any paint. That's the trick with these things, is that it always feels as if you're going to scratch the car with things that the car has on it. There we go. We're in. Oh my God, look at that. And now we have a windshield. Very cool. Second startup. This gearbox is fantastic. It's so tactile. And you get used to the shift pattern really quickly. It's not to be rushed. You just let it flow. Let's try the overdrive. Let's see. I'm gonna see how this works. I'm gonna clutch. I think we did it. We have overdrive. It should work in second and third gear. I was told to get out of overdrive. We'll clutch down to normal, give it a heap full, and we're back. All right. So nimble and light. I really like this car. This is a joy. I think I like this better than the 3000. It feels lighter. It feels tighter. It's a little buzzier. The quality of this doesn't feel quite as dialed as the 3000. But as far as driving goes, I much prefer this 100. I was was not expecting that. If these clouds unload, I have a friend who lives close by. I think I can sneak into his driveway, into his garage. Because it's incredibly tactile. I don't feel disconnected from the car either. Sometimes when you get in an old car like this, they feel a little top heavy or wobbly or weird, and you kind of just feel like you're hanging on for dear life. But this, I really feel like I am part of it. But more than anything, you start to really understand these suspensions in terms of how improvements were made over time, because it really feels like something that happens to one wheel happens to all the wheels. If you hit a bump with one wheel, it's going to impact the entire car. There's very little in the way of isolating imperfections in the road. The unique shift pattern kind of keeps me on my toes, and I like it because it means that I'm very deliberate. Like, this is a wonderful gearbox, but if you're not patient and a little precise with it, you might clip a gear a little bit, right? It's not gonna grind, but you'll feel it. It'll let you know like you didn't do it perfectly. Mostly not difficult to drive well, but just in case you rushed it. But what I like is that it really does make me think about what I'm doing and how I'm driving. Maybe 95 horsepower, but it makes such good use of its power because it's so light, and because it's a little scary to drive fast. I mean, I don't think I'd want to go 100 in this, but you could. Slow over the bumps. It takes it pretty well. Honestly, the suspension is really forgiving. It'll upset the car. Like, if you hit a bump mid-corner, like, you're gonna feel it. But it can handle some road imperfections, which is exactly what you want. Because if it can't, then what do you got? You got something you can only drive in perfect conditions, you'll never touch it. this is a great example of the kind of car where you don't have to go very fast to enjoy it. I mean, I don't believe this speedometer for a moment anyway. So I think that's gonna do it for the Healey 100. I genuinely was intimidated by this car when I first saw it. I thought, I don't know if I'm gonna be comfortable in it. I don't know if I'm gonna like driving it. I don't know if it's gonna be solid enough feeling. All of that's gone. I like this more than an Austin-Healey 3000. This is one of my favorites of the time period. I think it's just so much fun. This and like an Alfa Giulietta would probably be my top picks from like the mid 1950s as little four-cylinder runabouts that are just perfect sports cars. So thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. Every time I see one of those trucks, all I'm thinking is like, did I hammer the knockoffs to double check they were tight? And hopefully that one doesn't let go and push me into a dump truck.